What's going on, y'all? It's your man, Stephen Bartle, coming at you with another edition of Bartle's Breakdown. Y'all can see I got a big smile on my face because this is one of my favorite people. Howard Wright is a guy that I have known for 30, let's just say 30 some years. We've played together, we've played against each other, and it's been a lot of fun for me to be Howard's friend and to watch his progression as a young man into what he's become today. And I think you guys will enjoy it. Howard, how you doing today, man?
I am fantastic, Bardo. It is always good to see you and looking forward to this session today.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. And Howard's he's a big wig, y'all. We'll get into that in a little bit. But you can see he's a proud Stanford grad. And Howard and I first met on the basketball court. He was playing for Stanford. I was playing at Illinois out in Maui when we were in college. Howard, what comes to mind when you think about that first encounter?
A couple things. So I think that was my senior year, your junior year. Mm-hmm. And so you guys had the squad of all squads. And this was really before positionless basketball was as in vogue as it is now. It's like playing the Warriors when KD was there. Mm-hmm. So you guys had, Marcus, Liberty, and Kendall, and Nick Anderson, and you. And so the scouting report that we were given really kind of highlighted the offensive artistry of some of the other players. And what I noticed very quickly during the game is the floor leadership, the command of the offense, the respect from the team. I think you barked at Lou Henson once or twice and said you're going to call a different play. And I was like, who is this guy? And so, Bardo, you might not remember, but I had, I think, a quadruple double that game, and it's not all positive. So 17 points, 11 rebounds, had 8 assists, and then I had at least 8 or 9 turnovers because you guys trapped from every angle, from every direction. And what are you guys, 6'6" to 6'10" across the board. Everybody could run, everybody could dribble, everybody could shoot. And we hung in for a while. You guys beat us by 8 or 10 or 12, but you guys controlled the game. And I left the game thinking, it's like, wait a second, that is a special kind of floor general that's not afraid to bark out orders that needed to be delivered. And you and I have had modest success in our athletic careers. Some of those guys on those teams went on to have longer careers than we did. But I don't think any of them had, kind of the command of the offense and the quarterback of the defense that you were. And that's what, then we start bumping into each other at all-star games and, tried out for the Hawks and stuff again together later on. So that what really stuck with me is that a lot of your fans don't realize the actual player that you were. They give you all the appropriate props for what you're doing right now. And the insight is beyond. When I see my phone pop up and it's your number, I still think about the ridiculous player that you were.
I appreciate that, Howard. You guys can tell we go way back. We played in college against each other. We bumped heads over and, you were in the CBA for a little bit, Howard, just like
for a hot second. I think we played either with each other or against each other on 3 or 4 different continents. Yeah. And back in those days, we had our cups of coffee in the NBA, and then we, signed with a European team, and then we'd come back. And we were in, violent pursuit of our childhood dream. Mm-hmm. And we got to be part of, I heard a stat that there's been less than 7,000 people on the planet that ever played in the NBA. And it is not as 4,000?
4,000.
So it's not as long as I would have liked, Bardo. It's not the $190 million 5-year deal that Anthony Davis got. But what I recognized very early on is that I had, an athletic mortality. I got as much out of my body as I possibly could. I couldn't have shot anymore. I couldn't have lifted any more weights. I couldn't have run anymore. I couldn't have been more prepared in the off season. And then I don't know when it happened for you, but when you see Dominique and MJ and Shaq and Bird and Magic at the height of their athletic prowess, you recognize that there are levels to this. And I was given different gifts, but certainly not the physical gifts of some of these, just insane athletes that we got to, share the floor with, share a locker room with for just a few moments of our life.
No, that's well said, Howard, because, I got drafted in the second round. Howard was a free agent. We were in Atlanta Hawks together, and he mentioned Dominique Wilkins. People don't really remember the type of player and athlete Dominique Wilkins was. He was otherworldly, in my opinion. And, he came in an era, and, Howard, you disagree with me or not, he came in an era when Bird was dominant, Dr. J was dominant. But if you guys will go back and look at some of those playoff games between Atlanta and Boston, he was giving Bird the business.
He was giving it to him.
He was giving it to him. And Dominique is known for his dunking ability, and he probably can't do a whole lot of things with his left hand. So that lets you know that he's not going left, he's going right, and you still couldn't stop him. So very well said.
You think about the end of the 80s, those legendary teams that we got to play on. The core was Doc Rivers, who is always, I think, underrated as a player. I think he's still underrated as a coach, quite honestly.
Yep.
It's Spud Webb, Kevin Willis, Moses Malone, but Dominique was so insane. And if you remember that summer before a veterans camp, Bardo was like, what are we training? 3 times a day? Sometimes more than that. We go and shoot, in the middle of the night.
Yep.
And Dominique, stayed in decent shape, but you and I were in probably the best shape. Well, I know I was in the best shape of my life. And so I'm out there running top speed. Dominique, first practice, first, layup drill, first tip dunk. I'm like, he's literally being dropped out of the ceiling, and we're not even all the way warmed up. And so, we were young 20s, and he was maybe late 20s, almost even 30. And I get to see him, once or twice a year and have a chat with him, and he's still doing a great job for the Hawks. And it is wonderful to see some of the good guys in this business remain iconic figures and, use their platform for some positivity like you.
No, I agree. I totally agree. And you brought back memories when you talk about some of those guys on that team. To know that, we were really cool with Doc Rivers. And, ladies and gentlemen, when you're in a NBA veterans camp, I don't know if they still do this, but they used to do something where the rookies or the free agents like Howard and I would come in, and you'd have to put on, you'd have to do something silly. And, we did something, and, we made fun of Doc Rivers, and to see Doc now, the success he's had, and now the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers, every time Howard, he sees me, it's kind of like every time you see Dominique, every time I see Dominique, there's mutual respect there. And so, I love that you pulled all that together. Howard and I played together in Spain, and then we played against each other in Japan to finish our careers. Howard, what country or what experience did you seem to enjoy the most, and why?
I spent most of my time overseas in Spain, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I knew Spanish from just kind of growing up in San Diego. And if you remember, Bardo, I was doing my interviews in Spanish.
Oh, that's right.
When I got there.
That's right.
I probably spent more time in Spain anywhere else. Early days, living in Madrid, living in Barcelona. We had, some responsibilities, but we didn't have the bills that we have now. We're putting away money, and we're basically being citizens of the world. And what I also appreciated is that you and I always took advantage of the opportunities where we would drive or get on a train and go to see some historic monument, read about it, and not just be a visitor in a strange place, but try to live an authentic experience. And then you get a worldview I still hold now, versus just be a basketball player and go to practice every day. I tried to drink in all the experiences, And I would like to think that I'm a little bit better because I did. And then, Spain, Italy, France, they kept paying us money. I kind of wanted to retire, but they kept paying us hundreds of thousands of dollars. We went over to Japan at the very end of our careers, and had some wonderful memories there as well. But I knew probably 3 or 4 years before I retired that I was ready to get back into corporate America, do something with my degree. I know you were ready to do something with your degree. The lure and it's just very intoxicating to to know that you have tax-free dollars,
right,
that are at your disposal. So I like to think that we got out at the right time.
And Howard, you made a point, and it's a good transition, because, ladies and gentlemen, I think Howard Wright probably made the smoothest transition that I've seen. I'm not just saying that because he's my man. I'm not saying that because we're on the show. I really believe that Howard made a seamless transition. He was in talks. Weren't you in talks with Qualcomm while you were still playing?
Yeah, so the story really is the last couple of years during the summer, Bardo, while we were working out, I was going to business school in the summer. I was trying to get caught up with the rest of our graduating classes, and met Paul Jacobs. Paul Jacobs became, chairman and CEO at Qualcomm. He is a minority owner of the Sacramento Kings. He is a corporate big brother, and I owe him a personal and professional level of deference and respect that I may never ever get to. So I met him. He said, "Hey, we're always looking for smart folks at Qualcomm. Let me know when you're done with business school." And so here's the dirty little secret, in that I never finished business school. I sent him my resume the next day on my alumni email, and it basically was as blank as any sheet of paper that you could possibly have, Bardo. And my name is Howard Wright. I have a degree in qualitative economics. I will work my ass off for you, sir. And so he took a shot with me, and Peggy Johnson, Dave Vigil, Tony Thornley, Steve Altman, some of the most profound mentors that I've had in my life. Actually, after they opened up the door, they demanded excellence, just like the best coaches that we've had.
Yes.
They demanded excellence in this new sport, which was corporate America. And I appreciated that so much then, and I still appreciate it now. I'd like to think that these are all basically extended family, and they weren't never afraid to demand the best for me. And that part, that stays with me. Part of that stays with me.
Oh, Howard, that's tremendous, because, you took the skill sets that we developed in basketball and you applied them to business. And, I don't have to tell, I don't want to let's just keep going, because I was about to say something and I want to leave it to the end. But so you're in Qualcomm and you're doing very well, Howard. And then someone else comes calling. Who was that, and how did that all transpire?
Yes, I was lucky enough to spend 14 years at Qualcomm, rose through the ranks. I was very proud to be senior vice president, kind of business development, global business development. And it is what you just talked about, the same level of commitment, sacrifice, focus, preparation that we use when we're wearing shorts is the same thing that you need when you have a suit on and you're trying to talk to world leaders and CEOs around the world. Towards the end of my career at Qualcomm, some senior leadership from Intel reached out. I was intrigued, a chance to go back to the Bay Area, a chance to go back and then live physically close to Alyssa, my oldest daughter, who was at Stanford at the time. By the way, she Stanford undergrad with honors and distinction. Stanford Law School, she graduated with honors and distinction. So Bardo, that little baby girl that you guys used to help, babysit when we were bouncing around the world. She took what was my ceiling, graduating from Stanford, and that is now her floor. It's like your sons, Steve and Paul, and these kids are better than us.
No, there's no doubt about it.
And it's excellent to be to watch them soar. But the point being able to come back to the Bay Area, work in Silicon Valley, learn again from the best folks in the business in their category, what they're doing. So these are now the equivalents of our Larry Birds, MJs, Magics, and others, but they're doing it while they're writing code or they're architecting strategies. And that was fascinating to be inside the room when some of that happened as well. And so I'm just a sponge. Maybe curiosity is one of my best traits, just kind of intellectually curious about some of these things. Most of the time I kept my mouth shut, but I tried to learn on the fly. And then every once in a while, Bardo, a C-level, either your own CEO or one of the partners C-level says, what's our play here? What do you think our take is? What's our recommendation? And so that is the equivalent of somebody passes you the ball, you're coming off the screen, or somebody drops you a nice bounce pass, pocket pass. What are you gonna do? You gonna freeze up or you gonna take your shot? Right. Well, with me and you, if it's leather, it's going up. And so I'm just taking my shot in a different way, in a different sport. But the enthusiasm and the adrenaline is really the same.
You know, and ladies and gentlemen, Howard and I, through his times at his various stops, Howard's done some really powerful work with youth. Can you talk about your foundation? I believe your father started that you've picked up and really have expanded. What is that all about, Howard?
Yeah, so my father passed away 13 years ago. And 26 years ago, he started ProKids Golf Academy and Learning Center. So most folks will recognize that now as the first tee. The San Diego chapter, we are the flagship. My father started the program. The national program is designed after what we did in San Diego. And it is the greatest gift that my father has ever given me. By the way, Bardo, when he was alive, he took me to Super Bowls. I met Muhammad Ali. We traveled around the world. This ability for him to recognize that it was not, his legacy was not going to be tied to how many people that he knocked down. He was a 13-year NFL player and he could offensive tackle. He will knock you down. His legacy is directly tied to how many children he lifted up. And so now with the program, a couple thousand kids come through the program every single year. We give them the skill set. We give them the opportunity, SAT prep, mentoring, homework class. And then when they have a chance to, we give them scholarships to go to university. So these kids have come out of a relatively impoverished area of San Diego and have gone to all the Ivy Leagues, to the Stanfords, to business schools, to medical schools. This is the generation of kid, Bardo, that is being left behind. When they talk about no child left behind, but it's being done in a predominantly brown or black area, and people tend to forget, and so they disavow the dispossessed versus these kids, when they have a chance, step up and are the leaders and soon to be leaders of this world. So we've given away over $2 million in scholarships over the last 25, 26 years. And that's when it becomes TaylorMade and Callaway and other national organizations, donate money to us, and we funnel that back through the programs into the kids.
Howard, can you share with our viewers where, if they want to support your initiative, where they can, get more information?
Sure. So it is ProKidsOnline.org. First tee of San Diego. Almost any Google search will get you back to our website. And now the corporate jobs that I've been affiliated with, those corporations have also been exceedingly generous because they've recognized that, hey, there's a talent factory here.
Yes.
And these little pockets of San Diego, and let's accelerate that. And so we have a STEM academy, and we're trying to, I don't know, do something local that can have an effect global. We're not curing cancer, Bardo, but we are trying to make sure that we are funneling the right effort, energy, and cash to these kids who have every right to be successful, just like your sons or my daughters.
No, Howard, I love it. I've loved it from the time that you gave me an idea and kind of showed me what you were doing and the impact that you're having. You talk about a couple thousand kids per year come through that program.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy, you're having a global effect. You may not see it, but you're having a global effect. If you have that many kids coming through and the positivity, the confidence, the knowledge that you're sharing with them, the pathways that you're creating, you're having a global effect. And I tip my hat to you. And I see I got to get my behind in gear because I think I'm doing something, but that's tremendous work. And you're to be commended for that.
Thank you, Bardo.
And then, Howard, I loved this Salah Series, SALA series that you were involved in. And Howard invited me to a dinner in Toronto because they do these around the world. And it was the coolest event, ladies and gentlemen, because you've got the best of the best in the country, not just in the city of Toronto, the best of the best. And there was the deputy commissioner of the NBA, and Howard made sure that I'm sitting right next to him, right? And the three of us are there, and all the other sports professionals, finance professionals, and things of that nature. Howard, how did you can you kind of share a little bit about the Salah dinner series and how you got involved?
Sure, I talked to Peter yesterday. So in the new role, we're gonna re-up and kind of rejoin the Salah series. But Peter Farnsworth, who was an executive at the NBA and a couple other places in New York, a couple years ago said, you know what, wouldn't it be cool if, for example, Bardo, I'm going to have a dinner. I'm going to invite 3 of my most prominent, influential, and socially conscious friends. You do the same with your 3. And then that 3 becomes 9, becomes 18 very quickly. And so what the Salah series does, and I encourage folks to follow them on LinkedIn and all the other social media sites, is the commissioners, the C-suites, executives from around the globe, investment banking, RSNs, the broadcasters, the teams, the franchises. These are the decision makers that usually hold a pin, and underneath that pin, they write a purchase order for tens of millions of dollars. So to pick on both of us, Bardo, I think you and I were the lowest net worth persons in the room, and that's the kind of room that I want to be in, quite honestly. And so the Salah series, they have done it virtually, obviously, in this year of COVID, but as soon as we get in post-vaccine world, we'll reinstate that physically. It's usually associated with, okay, there's something going on in Vegas for CES. Commissioner Stern used to come to that one, Commissioner Emeritus did something in Mobile World Congress. There's usually something around NAB. We did it in London. We had plans to do one in Tel Aviv. But these are the rooms where decisions are being made. And my responsibility is to extend that invite to you. Your responsibility is to extend the invite to someone, to a few folks in your immediate and proximate sphere. Mm-hmm. And then let's see if we do something better as a result. So the business, when I was with Intel, we did lots of business based on those meetings. And then, that the dinner in Toronto was especially nice because we get to, tug on Mark Tatum's coat for a little bit, and very special nights.
No, it was excellent. And so you guys you're starting to see how dynamic Howard Wright really is, and why I think we were attracted to one another. Not that I put myself in his position, But what I'm saying is, like, when you have a good friend and you guys meet in one realm, and you compete together, you compete against each other in one realm, you transition to another realm. And so I'm like a proud family member checking out Howard because, ladies and gentlemen, Howard Wright is 6'9". When Howard walks into a room, he commands presence. He's a gentle giant, like literally. And so to watch Howard get up in the Salah Series and speak in front of these professionals and then work the room and see how people are responding to him, it makes me smile and feel good because I'm like, yeah, that's my man over there. I'm riding on his coattail. I don't belong here. I'm just here with him. So that was a lot of fun. So Howard, I didn't want to spoil it, but you now have a new position that to me I bragged about it in my family because I was so proud to hear your next evolution. Can you share what that is?
Sure. Last month, I accepted the job to become CEO and president and board member of C360 Technologies. Now, folks might not know what the name is, and we don't have a consumer brand that you would be associated with, but let me tell you what we do, Bardo. Today, it is pylon cam business, VR business. If you'll see us on Monday Night Football, you'll see us coming up on Sunday Night Football. You've seen us work with NASCAR and a handful of the most iconic leagues and teams in the world. That's a wonderful, nice margin consumer business for us. And I was proud that they came and approached me. And now even more proud being able to work alongside the executive staff that we have. So in 20 years in the kind of corporate America ecosystem, Bardo, what always jumped out to me is who has the defensible IP, who has intellectual property that is differentiated and defensible against every other niche, AR, MR, VR player out there. Mm-hmm. Who has the world-class board? So our board is the who's who, both West Coast and East Coast, in terms of influencers, in terms of the Salah Series of folks that you would like to work with on a day-to-day basis. Some investors include, the Horizon X, the Boeing venture arm, and some new money has come in from 76 Capital, Wayne Kimmel, and that crew. So we have board, defensible IP, and then the world-class partners, paying customers right now that include ESPN and NBC and others. So we're a little startup with aspirations to go up the food chain, to go up in weight class, mm-hmm. and to really differentiate ourselves in what I'm calling the immersive media economy. I'll take 45 seconds on this one, Bardo, because it's... Please do. I've convinced myself of it. I don't know if I've convinced anybody else quite yet, but I am convinced that as all of these digital rights and linear rights come up, NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, football, European soccer, that all of the franchise owners and commissioners are going to be looking for ways to monetize the same content, personalize it, and digitize it. Now, if you have Commissioner Silver and he knows that there are only 20,000 people that he could fit in Madison Square Garden, and that is typically only the geography is that 50-mile radius, you could probably get there. Mm-hmm. What if you could give digital access, virtual access to a total available market of several billion as opposed to 20,000. So now, Bardo, you and I are, luckiest guys ever. We've been on the court. We've been on the sideline to see what real athletic prowess looks like. Mm-hmm. What if I could digitally portal you to the Spike Lee seat or the Jack Nicholson seat, or if I could give you a digital image, a streaming digital image that is secondary and complementary to what we're watching on our 60-inch TV above. Okay. That is the goal. And as the cloud gets closer to us, as the core network from 5G gets closer to us, and we have wireless broadband in our hand, the devices get better every single iteration. Yep. The thermal dynamics of everything else going on inside the phone, you're walking around with enough to basically launch what was Apollo 13 years ago in your hand. That is the unapologetic goal, is to capture value out of that new immersive media economy. And we're going to, we're going to take our shot.
Man, that's exciting, Howard, because you're right on the cutting edge of what consumers will see. Yeah. Obviously, businesses are already involved heavily, yeah, but you're on the cutting edge, being able to bring out some new technology to the broad-based consumer that is going to really revolutionize the way that they view things. So what you're telling me is that pretty soon, via your technology, I'll be able to be here in Chicago, but I'll be able to watch an Arsenal soccer match like I'm right there in the mix with everybody else. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. This is, you'll be able to portal into all of these iconic buildings that you and I are lucky. We've been to every place, Super Bowls and NBA finals and All-Star games and everything else. Now, from the same seat you're sitting in, or my home office here, I might want to jump around and be in Camp Nou in Barcelona, where we used to live. Mm-hmm. I might want to go back and see Manchester City, but see it from a different angle, not just the 2D flat image and distance from, but to interact with all the immersive media that is going on the pitch, on the court, or on the field. We have insatiable demand to be closer to the players, to be closer to the green room, to be closer to the experience. You and I can describe to another human, if we were at a wine and cheese party, what it's like to run out of the tunnel in an NBA uniform. Now we can give, should I call, laypersons that digital ability, yes, to experience that. And they're going to pay the NBA, or they're going to pay ESPN, or they're going to pay Turner, or whomever else. And we are just going to provide, those immersive streams, and we're going to get a couple of nickels and dimes along the way of that supply chain.
And so I want you guys to understand that Howard is a CEO. He's not, he's not supporting somebody else. He is the boss. And, when you have friends that move through their careers and have the impact like Howard has had, you're proud of him. You're proud to know him. You're happy for him. And Howard, what is, I know it's new, you're in this new position, this CEO position. What is it about basketball and your experiences that's really prepared you for what you're doing right now?
I would like to think is because I was never the best basketball player, Bardo, is that those summers that we spent all around the world chasing basketball, you recognize that we just simply worked harder than everybody else.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of people can outthink me. A lot of people are probably smarter than me. Nobody's going to outwork me. And so that grind and that intensity is different as it prepares you for a different sport with the same adrenaline and a different uniform. Now, right now, we are in this honeymoon phase. The board has been extraordinarily nice to me. The investors have been very nice to me. But there is this unemotional P&L responsibility, sure, that all of us have. And that's how I will be measured. And so I go back to kind of my degree in qualitative economics, which is I'm driven by numbers, the focus, the sanity of them all. Bardo, it always adds up. And so we're trying to apply a little bit of the intuitive part of our experiences to the quantitative part of it, which is we see this is happening right now. The winners and the losers of this immersive media economy are being built, designed, architected, and injected right now. One of my favorite mentors ever, when I asked her, why are you doing this way? She said, 10 years from now, there's a Harvard Business School class case study or a Stanford Business School case study that will be done on this decision right now. And to have the foresight to say, wait a second, will this decision stand up against the historical scrutiny of being able to, see it in reverse? Right. And so you think forward and you reason backwards. And there's not a more exciting industry in my, for me personally, obviously because of my biases, but as we use our network, our efforts, our IQ, our EQ, and our AQ, I have the audacity to think, Bardo, that in 2025, when we're doing this on a different virtual hologram podcast, that we'll be able to look back and say, we didn't make every right decision along the way, but that our slugging percentage based on those decisions was, 875 or 915 or something like that, because it's right here, it's right now, and we would be foolish not to throw our entire selves, our basketball selves and our competitive selves and our intellectual selves at the same problem set.
Well, I think that can probably sum up our interview here, because you said a mouthful there, partner. Where can people learn more about your company, Howard?
Yeah, so I encourage folks to go to c360live.com. We have a very cool sizzle reel that's about 45 seconds to watch. We don't do a lot of marketing. We don't do a lot of branding. So you may see something on your Saturday game or Sunday game or Sunday night game or Monday night game and not know it's us. We kind of like that right now. We're going to stay underneath the radar. We're a B to B to C customer.
Okay.
Our customer is, the federal government and some aerospace business that we have. It's also the most important executive producers at ESPN and NBC and Fox and others. And so getting our technology from where it is right now, which is a wonderful business, to a next generation, let's change the trajectory of the business. That's what we're going to spend the next 6 months or so doing, Bardo. And on any given day, I'm the luckiest guy ever. And I wake up, scale of 1 to 10, I wake up about 11 or 12. Since I've been involved with this board and this executive staff, I wake up about 13 every morning. And I'm excited to play this fourth dimensional chess game with the partners that we have. And then again, carve out what I believe is rightfully ours in this immersive media economy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you understand now by listening to this interview why I wanted to bring Howard Wright on. My world is basketball and media. Howard's world is basketball and immersive technology. And so Howard's on the cutting edge of a lot of exciting things that will be coming to us at some point that we're enjoying right now that we don't even realize. And I like what you said, Howard, that you all want to stay that way for a while. I love that. I love your approach. Is there anything else you want to share?
No, Bart, we don't get a chance to be authentic with one another enough, because when we do talk, we're telling stories or we're insulting each other because that's the way, men do it, because we can't talk about expressions of love and gratitude. I just really enjoy what you are doing, kind of this one-man band. You said that you're the James Brown of college basketball and media, and it makes a difference. most of the time, I turn the sound off on football games and some other games. When I know that you're involved in it, I turn the sound up, and I might even have it, in a couple different screens running. And your insight into NBA free agencies and then what you've said about, the teams in the East and these trades is spot on. When you go and decide, or if you go to decide to be a GM of an NBA team, nobody, least of all me, will be surprised. But while we still have you at a level where we can touch you and access you, we are appreciative of the gifts that you share.
Well, Howard, I appreciate that, bro. And I know you sincerely mean that. So thank you. Thank you for your time as well, because I know you're busy. I'm trying to get you in and out of here so you can get to run your company. But really appreciate you taking the time, my man. Thank you, Howard.
Thank you, Bardo. Talk at you soon.
All right. That'll do it for this edition of Bardo's Breakdown. Make sure you check in because we have more outstanding interviews like this in addition to all the basketball coverage. All right, y'all. Talk to you later. Peace.